So then Batman doesn't say, "Would you like some more, my lady?" But he does doff a small trilby between his bat ears.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That explains a lot, actually.
It does, in many ways.
That explains a lot.
More on that later, apparently.
Yeah.
Boys and girls of every age. I won't sing any more bars because we get copyright struck.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Big Damn Cast, which is once again being recorded remotely this week. We were going to record together, but then the week fucked us.
Yeah, we couldn't actually schedule it, so that fucked it.
We're doing a lot this week. So we are recording on the year of our Lord on Monday the 21st of June.
Monday the 21st of June.
To a time that can best be described to a man who has his regular day off today and a filthy freelance scumbag early.
Oh no, this isn't early for me.
That's because you got a sleep schedule. You actually get in on it. You take care of your body.
Well, I don't ever take care of my body. I just have to get up in the mornings. Usually.
Whereas I'm a filth bag who, you know, I've learned in the last few years to freelance stuff. I have a real problem with getting out of bed in the morning, and not in a.
That doesn't sound like you.
Not in a. I don't mean sort of motivation. I mean like. If I don't have to be somewhere at a certain time in the morning, it's like part of my brain goes, yeah, you don't need to get up then. And I can set alarms from here till Kingdom Come, me beauty, and I won't hear them. And just, my body just refuses to wake up and get up. It just won't do it, and I'll wake up at like 10:30, 11, 11:30. And yeah, if I've got, say, like last Thursday, I had a train to catch at 8:15. And I always give myself a good 25 minutes to get to the station in case of issue or train delay or just whatever.
Yes.
And I set my alarm for 5:45. And I woke up at 6:30.
Eesh.
My body just sort of went, well, you may as well get up now. Go and have some breakfast.
Do your thing, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so when I know I have somewhere to be, my body goes, hey, come on, champ. Come on, get up. We've got some breakfast. You got to move around a little bit before you go for your morning constitutional. Let's take advantage of this time. You don't need an hour. You need an hour 15. Come on. And yeah, if I don't have to physically be somewhere in the morning, my body just goes, fucking snooze.
Brilliant.
It's worrying. It's worrying. So what I'm basically saying is, can you help me?
No.
Dr. Watson.
I can't help you.
No.
I can't help myself.
I can't help this feeling anymore. In other words, fight, but that's where I wanted to go. By the way, I'm Chris Magic Johnson.
I'm Mr. Irresistible.
Every time you say that, I just hear it as Mr. Irresistible. Like, that's it now.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's
it's
all
like,
it is.
So is that your intro music?
Probably.
I know it's not the song that inspired it.
It must
like,
be. It must be. Who knows?
But yeah, I where the fuck was I going with that?
I don't know.
Do you think Bonnie Tyler's extra rich this week?
Extra rich?
Extra rich.
Oh, yeah.
So, last week we briefly talked, ladies and gentlemen, about Guardians of the Galaxy from Square Enix and Eidos Montreal.
Humans.
Release coming out later this year. And the announcement trailer was scored to I Need a Hero, Bonnie Tyler. Which didn't have that much impact or effect. Because a week prior, we'd all seen a really cool trailer for Masters of the Universe Revelation for Netflix, scored to that track.
Ah.
So it kind of felt like, oh, right, this is... Oh, I bet they wish they'd picked a different song, because this now feels a bit like a copycat like thing. As opposed to a Battle Cat thing. And then...
No, Copycat's
this
a completely
week,
different action figure.
And then this week, Loki episode 2 comes out. And in the first 3 minutes, there's an action sequence set Do I need a hero?
Yeah.
Do you think she's like, I don't know what happened. I woke up this morning and suddenly everyone was out of ideas. So as a result, I can buy a conservatory.
No, she just has really good management.
True.
It's like a couple of years. Well, like 6 or 7. Like
moons ago.
6 or 7 years back now, where fucking Take Me Home Country Road was fucking everywhere.
Oh fudge, yeah. You're the place I belong.
Just
all right, come on, we don't
sick
need
of hearing that song.
This is Jeff Bridges with "Take Me Home, Garden Road, the place I belong, West Virginia." Specifically, R.I.P.D. Jeff Bridges.
Yes, the best / worst Jeff Bridges.
Do I have to learn the lines? You do. Oh,
he's having the best time in that movie.
He's so drunk.
No one else is.
No one, especially not the people watching.
No, I know. As someone who's watched the whole thing, I wasn't.
Hey, look. Do you like Men in Black? Yeah. Well, this is not that good, but it's kind of the same thing. Enjoy. Like, okay.
Excellent audio content.
Perfect quality. There's someone listening to this on their commute to work right now going, do you know what? I'm so glad I'm still listening to these
I'm so happy.
guys. I'm so happy.
I'm spending my last 10 minutes of freedom before I have to dredge into the drone factory. Listening to these two idiots.
I thought you were going to be like, I'm so glad I'm spending my last 10 minutes on this earth listening to them, and you're prophesizing one of our listeners' like over-dramatized, action-packed death sequences.
I mean, it could happen.
It could. If you're listening
it
to this
could
right
happen
now,
to you.
He did the hand from the advert.
Did the hand thing, did the pointy thing.
The pointy hand thing.
Do the pointy thing, Wilbur. I don't know who Wilbur is, but he's doing the pointy thing.
He sounded like Rocco.
I don't know what I'm talking about. So
here's why we don't record usually first thing in the morning. Neither of us are completely awake, despite Matt drinking what looks like the most gorgeous coffee I've ever seen in my life.
It is a nice coffee, all right.
Oh, it looks beautiful. I'm supping a pitiful PG Tips out of a rounded mug.
A pug tips.
A pug tips, which is, if they want to sponsor us, fair enough. But like, I wish I'd gone for coffee first thing, because this is not doing anything for me. Much like every woman who's ever been out with Batman says. Again, we'll get to that later. But first, mild spoiler warning for the television show Loki.
Licky?
Because licky bum bum down. Because
it's the Pokemon spin-off Licky Tongue about a crime-solving Licky Tongue.
I'd love that Detective Pikachu spin-off.
Yeah.
It's that Lickitung from the film version.
Well,
just on the train
he's evolved into a Licky now.
Oh.
So
I see.
He's extra licky and tonguey.
You crazy kids with your 8th, 9th generation.
And a large round boy.
He's a large round boy.
Look up a Licky. He's a cute large round boy.
I think I can evolve my Lickitung on Pokemon Go into a Licky, but I've not got enough candy. I need more candy.
So,
yeah, mild spoiler warning. There will be one, because ultimately it's still kind of a setup show.
Yeah.
But there is something at the end which is like, if you don't want spoilers, we will give you a heads up.
Yeah, we've got our first bombshell reveal of the season towards the end of this episode. Start of the episode, though.
It's not Owen Wilson going, wow. Not yet, anyway.
It's not going to happen. It's fine.
We start in a Ren fair this week in Loki.
Yeah, which is quite fun. It's like, because it just subverts the whole thing of like, oh, we're in middle. No, it's 1985.
1985 comes up on the screen.
Yeah, which is quite good. I like that they flip with that.
It probably... No, go on, sorry.
Have the one woman who is really upset that they're not in costume.
Yeah. It's like, come on. For some of us, this is more than a hobby. It's like,
it's very good. It's very good.
We just got a glimpse into her life. Is she okay?
Well, she'll get disintegrated by the end of it, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, I get... Was that how that works?
Who knows?
Would she be disintegrated too? Yeah, we've not actually seen that in full effect before, have we?
Who could say?
The cleaning.
Loki seems to be quite disdainful of it.
I'm wondering whether or not this the setting as well was a reference to the Mark Millar limited series Marvel 1985, because it was just the idea of suddenly we've got a Marvel character in the middle of a small town in USA.
I think 1985 is just a touchstone for people because it's
touching their stones.
1985. Springsteen, Madonna, way before Nirvana.
Well, not that long before Nirvana. That line way before Nirvana. Give it another sort of 5-6 years. Then
Not even that.
Will be his.
Bleach came out in 89, I think.
Yeah, they would have been a band and practicing at the very least as well. They were probably a band in 85.
Maybe. Who could say?
Working their way. Oh, well.
Who could say?
Who could say? Not Kurt Cobain. I can't understand a bloody thing he's singing.
Chris Novoselic, but he's too busy being weird and right wing.
Although the good boy Dave Grohl,
he hadn't joined by that point.
Was it my dad or was it my dad-in-law yesterday? Oh my god! My dads are merging into one. I collect them all. I put a status out on Facebook, wishing them all Happy Father's Day, and said just hoping you have the best day before you're rounded up for the tournament where you have to beat each other to death to decide who wins the giant oversized novelty Father's Day Toblerone.
I'll do a Cronenberg The Fly style mix 'em up. I am Omnidad.
Could you imagine if that's how that film went?
Yeah.
I am Omnifly.
Omnifly.
Yes.
I am more human than human.
God, that's such a good film. You watched that this past week, didn't you?
Yeah, it's very good.
It's so good.
Because I've not actually cracked open my Blu-ray copy since I bought it, 6 years ago or something. And so I just cracked it and was like, yeah, I'm going to watch this.
And the cover nice and freaky as well, just the fly. It's just blank. It's just a little fly in the bottom corner of the sleeve design. It's like, that's...
Ooh, I like what you do.
If you don't know this movie, you'll be like, yep, that's a fly. And if you do know this movie, you're like, that's you little bastard, you start all of this. You're the reason it goes so south so quickly.
No. Anyway,
Loki.
Anyway, Loki. Marvel's Loki. I was trying to place the lass who gets possessed in this first opening sequence.
Do you know what? She looked an awful lot, and I know it's not, but she resembles Carly Morgenthau.
Yeah, a little bit.
From Falcon Winter Soldier. She's got a very similar sort of face to that actress, and it was... At first I was like, wait, what? Oh, no, it's not. Okay.
No. It was Sacha Lane who was in that awful Hellboy movie doing the worst...
Oh, my God!
Doing the worst British
Alice.
accent. Yeah, she's Alice. Yeah.
Oh my God! Now you've said it. That's that has unlocked a repressed memory of an evening at the cinema I regret. That is amazing. Oh, well placed. Also, I'm glad to see she's getting other stuff.
Yeah.
I'm also happy to see that it's not a lead role in the series.
I'm also happy that she's not doing a British accent. There we go. But yeah, neat, interesting opening sequence, possession, and beating people up and
Bonnie Tyler
doing the thing, Bonnie Tyler, and then we get our investigation. Loki trying to con people. I love the fact that he's trying his deception thing, and Mobius takes a moment and goes, "No, he's lying," which is great.
That whole sting's amazing. Yeah,
yeah.
That whole sting is amazing, and sort of a testament to how the budget for this series, I think, is mostly being saved entirely for the visual effect shots of stuff still to come.
Yeah.
Because 2 episodes in, this is like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter sort of levels of how the budget's being spent.
It's a time travel police procedural so far.
Yeah, that so far is mostly the police procedural.
Yeah.
And long scenes of usually 2 characters having dialogue in rooms, and it does not suffer for it at all.
No.
So even that scene, which is played up for all this tension of, oh God, we showed up to this variant has led us into a trap, and here's why I know it's a trap, because it's what I do, and and it's great build up, and ultimately it's 6 actors in a tent.
Yeah.
Talking for 5 minutes.
I also like the dynamic that they've sort of built up in this series so far, that no one's taken any of Loki's shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's seen the drawer full of Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
Twigged that he's outmatched, but has also clearly come up with the thought of, right, well, I've got to try and get in charge of this place, because then I'll be, like, the most powerful thing ever. And only to learn that they're like, yeah, of course you were going to do that.
Yeah, we know you're going to do that. We know who you are.
Idiot. Like, of course you are.
We're ready for you.
We're not going to let you. And I like how Mobius is honest. He's like, be honest, you almost had me for a second, but no, it was easy. And it's like, oh, okay. We learn. I mean, before they go on the sort of attempted extraction of the rogue variant, which we now know from last week is another Loki. Mm-hmm. We learned that Hiddleston's Loki is not the only Loki that the TVA have had to deal with before. Mm-hmm. At first, I thought they were implying that maybe they'd had other Lokis on this assignment, but that's not what they're saying, is it? They're saying that they've just you are a constant nuisance, no matter what reality it is that we're having to deal with.
Yeah.
That Lokis have strayed off the path more than once.
More than any other, I think they say.
Which was nice, because I think that explained clearer in this episode what episode 1 didn't establish too well, which is, the multiverse exists. It's just part of the sacred timeline. I think the first episode kind of... I saw a lot of confusion online this week in relation to it, that, like, episode 1 sort of threw everyone for a loop, making them think that the sacred timeline is just, like, is one thing, one existence.
Yeah.
But it's like, it is, but for all of the existences there are. So, like, the sacred timeline is not one narrative, like, universe. It's like billions of them.
Yeah.
But they're all meant to go a certain way. So, which sort of made me appreciate the graphic design more in this episode as well, because when it does branch off and it sort of is going to the red, like, it is a very thin line compared to the main timeline. So it's like, that is just one of them going, whee, like, branching off. And we get the best visual representation of that this episode when they show him the other Lokis they've dealt with.
Yeah, that's quite fun.
And you're like, wait, what? So one is like more frost giant, like blue skinned, blue black gold armor Loki.
Yeah.
With Hiddleston's face, but he's sort of got longer features.
Yeah.
And he basically looks like he'd be in the background of a Hugo Weaving scene in Lord of the Rings, and you just go, yep, there he is. That's him. We've got a Loki who's like, is he like a football?
It looks like he's won the Tour de France.
Yeah. Oh, it's not football. It's a bike helmet. And yeah. So you got that.
Which is wonderful.
You've got a big, like, hulked out sort of troll looking Loki in I think it was the Weekly Planet summed him up as like cosplaying Mr. Hyde from League of Extraordinary.
I want to see some more troll Loki. That's what I want to see.
It looks great. You've got one who's sort of like more armored up in sort of a very kind of hodgepodgey sort of way that looks like it's not Hiddleston, like standing in for it. And that's the thing. There's a couple that don't quite look like him, and that's sort of the point. It's like you're not, it's you are Loki. Loki exists in every timeline, but you're not all the same Loki. You've all made different decisions. That's why they're different timelines. Or you're all born in different eras, or to different races or whatever, and that's but there still is a Loki. You're a constant, you swine. As he learns when he goes to check out his own file.
Yes.
It's the only file he's allowed to read outside of the case stuff that he's been given by Mobius. Despite him trying to work his charm on the librarian, who gives zero fucks for anything he has to say or ask for.
It's everyone at the TVA just has no time for his bullshit. Because they're all onto him. And it's great. It's a great night, because it's such... There's always been someone he's been able to trick so far in everything we've seen him in. And this is just, he's so outclassed. And it's an interesting way. They're doing something different with the character. That's why it's interesting.
They're the writers. They're the writers. They're like, no, we know how you operate.
Yeah.
You can't surprise us. Like, if anything, we'll point you in a direction and we'll make you do this thing. Because, like, we know you're going to try it on, son. It seems like the only relief he gets is his questioning of and torturing of the TVA mascot, Miss Minutes. Who's... It's like, so are you alive? Like, so yeah, but also not quite. It's just like, wait, what? This little cartoon, like, is sort of real, maybe? And is pottering around.
Yeah, she's like the
intro. It's his cubicle.
She's like a more annoying version of Clippy from Microsoft Word. He's an extrapolation of that technology.
Now, I would have been fine if Clippy had the voice of a Southern belle.
Well, that's
Like,
true.
like,
It does help, the approachability of it.
Can I help you with your grammar? I mean, if you're going to talk to me like that, yes. Yes, you may. I'm a 90s child. I grew up with Rogue in the X-Men animated series. I'm more than happy to hear this voice talk to me. Hello.
Hello.
So, yeah, we see him... So the episode is basically spent with them teeing up the idea that this variant is hiding somewhere.
Yes.
They're not able to track them down. And Mobius and Loki... Loki mostly sort of gets the spark. He starts to sort of brainstorm and put things together.
Yeah.
Demonstrating on Mobius's poor lunchtime salad.
There's some resignation in Owen Wilson as that scene goes on. It's just great. And just the glee that Tom Hiddleston's doing it with.
Yeah. It's like the salt and pepper shaker.
Yeah, that's a really nice scene. It's just those two sort of bouncing off each other again, which I think they've got a really nice energy. One always brings the energy up when the other's lower, and so they're bouncing a ball off each other essentially. It's really, I think they have a really fun interplay so far.
Especially as well because like Owen Wilson's playing this very straight. Like we've seen him in different roles over the decades, but like never one sort of this, I guess, level-headed completely, which is great because obviously when Loki is being abrasive, he's a great straight man to him. Mm-hmm. When Loki's trying to be a villain, he feels authoritative enough that you're like, yeah, he's not gonna take this. He's not gonna fall for this shit. He and I need to look up the character's name again, but he and the sort of the judge from last episode,
Renslayer, Judge Renslayer.
Right. Okay. So it was only this week I looked her up because I was like, oh, of course I've seen the actor in many things, and I was like, yep, Doctor Who, Cloverfield Paradox. We talked about this before, and I was like, okay. I was playing Renslayer. Why do I recognise that name? Click. And as soon as I clicked it, I was like, oh, of course. Which I advise anyone who doesn't want to theorise or whatever to avoid doing that. I don't think it's spoiled anything for what's coming, but it has made me realise for like what direction they could go in, and also made me take note of the Timekeeper's appearances a bit more. Mm-hmm. So there is that. But like she and Mobius, their interplay is quite nice too. The idea that she's like, look, I trust you completely. You're one of my best, but this is weird. You're giving this guy too much wiggle room. Yeah. You are giving this Loki too much. And then that mention of the Timekeepers are watching this case like particularly, like they are looking at it with a great interest. You're like, why would they be doing that? Why? Surely this isn't the weirdest thing to happen at the TVA. Can't be, right? Unless there's more to the Timekeepers, who Loki's trying to meet with so he can use.
There's definitely something going on with the TVA and the Timekeepers and their origins, because there's no reason for it to keep getting hit on as hard as it is. Yeah,
I mean, he even Loki sort of brings it up, doesn't he? He's like, are they even real? Like at one point, he's like, are they real? And Mobius is just like, so moving on.
Yeah,
and it's like even Mobius probably doubts it, because we learn more about like Mobius, the idea that the TVA just come into existence. Each individual member just comes into existence at some point, or has.
Yeah,
and they do their job, and they're happy with it. They're not enslaved. It's just this is what they do, and they're more than happy to do it because it's responsible, and they obviously have enough downtime that they can take a breather between cases here and there, and they have their own like quiet passions, of which we learn Mobius is jet skis, not riding them. Not owning one, just being happy that they exist.
I mean, he wants to.
Yeah, he's like, do you want to ride one? He's like, that's not the point. It's like, you do though, don't you? You want to go ride a jet ski? Yeah. It's like, can you not just go to like the 1990s and ride a jet ski? It's like sort of an irresponsible use of our power. Going on a jolly. But they really dip into the idea. Loki sort of draws parallels between events with no readings of variant activity. The most common places where there is no variant occurrence has ever happened is in the moments before an apocalypse. And the apocalypse is sort of defined in the show as just a world-ending event in both senses of that as a descriptor. Like, a world-ending event and the end of a certain civilization
or it's like it can be a localized thing, like because the example that they used to test theory is Pompeii, which was sort of localized, where everyone in that area was wiped out. So whatever happens in that area immediately prior to the eruption doesn't matter.
Yeah,
because there's no one there to witness it.
Yeah.
And there's no one left who witnessed it.
And witness how tiny a set it is.
Yeah. They use it very well.
Brilliant visual effects to show an actual, to show the volcano bursting out in the background and the rubble and the lava sort of slowly making its way towards Pompeii. But even so, it was like, okay.
Yeah.
You've got some cost here. Although Tom Hiddleston got to use his actual skills in speaking Latin. Because he can speak Latin, apparently.
Of course he can. Of course, Tom Hiddleston, of all fucking weird posh dudes, can speak fucking... Of course he can.
Hey, do not speak ill of that man. He made you breakfast.
Fuck off.
He handed you your sanshin.
Fuck off.
Pepper on top, right? So, once again, thank you, Charlie, for introducing me.
I finished early, so I came back to make you breakfast.
And now I'm going back to work for a few weeks. What? What job do you do? So weird. Guys, if you're ever bored, look up specifically Chinese, Korean, and Japanese TV adverts starring American or British Hollywood celebrities.
Oh, man.
There are so many, and they are fucking weird.
But particularly that Centrum advert featuring Tom Hiddleston, it is just bizarre.
Oh god! Oh, just yeah. But yeah, so Pompeii, they test his theory because it's never been proven by the TVA. No one's ever really pursued it. But if you were to be a variance, if you were to deviate from the path of how that apocalypse is meant to go, supposedly, then it doesn't register because, like those little bombs that sort of cleanse an immediate area and reset it, it's like nothing ever happened. Because everything's gone. So he rocks up, tells everybody in Latin that they're going to die, claims that he's from the future, and then he's like, I mean, are we from the future? Is the TVA in the future? It sort of feels like it's in the future.
Yeah.
And then Volcano Day. And they go back, they check the record, and the record's no different from how it was before they left. So, yep. There was no variant spike. They came in there and fucked around, and it didn't show up. Meaning, the Loki variant they're chasing is hiding in an apocalypse somewhere, which is like, what a great little idea. And they can hide in it as many times as they like as well. Like, they could just go there as many times as they need to, because it will never change anything. They won't necessarily cross over with themselves. They just pop there, do their thing, and leave. And it's like, that is genius. Although I'd be annoyed, because if I was the variant, I'd want at least one slow morning. Do you know what I mean? You can't really have one if you're like, oh yeah, the apocalypse is going to happen at some point. I should probably keep an eye on my watch.
Well, I imagine you need to be a kind of driven individual to do what they're doing. So...
Are you saying I couldn't be a supervillain? Because I am kind of fine with that, and I'd let you get it in writing from my psychiatrist. So... And if you could put it on my CV as well. That'd be nice as a reference.
Yeah.
Not likely to become a supervillain. He's not driven enough. But he's driven enough for the job, but he's not driven enough to... Wait, why are you walking away? You say in writing 2 weeks before the CV's handed over.
Yeah.
Time travel, which gets dissected massively in this episode as well.
Yes.
Like, so how does this work? Like, how do you guys work? Where are we? What is this? And Mobius explains everything brilliantly, but it's still left open to like, and that's man. Wait, what? But I love that their connecting clue is is the kid from the first episode with the bubble gum that was handed to them by the horned stranger.
Oh, what's it called? It's called Kablooey. Kablooey.
Because you could blow it.
Because it's blue.
So the apocalypse in question is in the States. I think it's implied that a coast basically goes to shit.
I've got it up here. I've got my little page up here. I think it's Alabama. It's a Roxcart store.
Yes.
which is great in Alabama. And there's a big storm, and it basically wipes
30,
out
40,
the area.
Oh, there's not 30, 40 years in the future. It's like 2,400 and something.
No, it's like 20 years in the future.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like 2040 something.
Okay.
2048.
There we go. So, a couple decades ahead of us. Roxxon is obviously a big enough company that it owns malls now and no one bats a fucking eyelid. Which is a nice little detail. Like, a company that hasn't really been used as full-on villains in the MCU yet, but has always sort of been around. It's as a fan of the comics, it's like, yeah, Roxxon sometimes get up to some shady shit and shady investments, and here they are, basically Walmart. Okay,
but it's not even just that; it's the entire town is owned by Roxcart.
Yeah,
and it's the town that's
Roxcart,
and that's wiped out in this hurricane. Oh, 2050 it is, not 2048. It's in 2050. And it destroys this town in Alabama.
It's a tiny contained apocalypse.
Yeah,
and it's around this. It's the only apocalypse they can find around the same time as the release and manufacture of Kablooey.
Yes.
So they're like, right, this variant has either been through here or is hiding here. So let's go. And they go. Spoilers ahead. If you don't want to hear them, skip about 10 minutes into the podcast. Thank you.
10 minutes further. Not 10 minutes
skip
in.
10 minutes back.
Because we're half an hour in.
Or just
that would
skip
be
10 minutes
weird.
back and relive the last 10 minutes again and again.
With your time collar.
So the possession thing seems to be a power. They sort of touch somebody, a little green hex magic sort of flows into them, and then suddenly it's not like they're possessing the person. It's like they're sort of using the person as a speaker. Like they're like an extension. They're a puppet. Which was nice because for the longest time they arrive there and they split into teams, and you have Loki talking to this other Loki without the other Loki being on screen for the longest time.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool extended sequence, especially the bit where, like, because you got to see a couple of actors have a lot of fun.
Yes, as they move from body to body, yeah.
And there's sort of, they had certain shared physicality between them, but not drastically. There was just a couple little ways they stood and held themselves that was like the same, and it's like, oh, that's a neat little visual indicator. And then at one point when Loki needs to sort of be kept away from the thing that the variant's up to, they switch into a slightly bigger guy who just starts beating the shit out of him. Which is quite funny. Now, I would have thought that maybe they were doing this to prolong having to do a split screen or complicated take with multiple Hiddlestons talking to each other. Except for a few things. I figured out where this was going about 5 minutes into the episode.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't turn off my film studies brain.
Oh, yeah.
So at the start of this episode, when the team are briefing the others on what they're about to do, while Loki stood there and having that really brilliant pedantic moment where he describes the difference between two abilities, two powers that involve illusion, which I thought was great. They kept talking about the variant, which obviously last episode they didn't discuss it in detail. They just say there's a rogue variant.
Yeah.
This episode they were like, right, so the rogue variant, he's located here. The last time someone saw him, he was doing this, that, and the other, and la ba da 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 da.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Every time they referred to them, he's come through here. He's definitely been through here. And I was like, you're putting an awful lot of subtle emphasis on a he/him pronoun.
Yeah.
Like, you're putting a lot of emphasis. Considering last week, everyone referred to our Loki as the variant. Like, quiet variant, silence variant. You're just a variant. Like, have you seen the variant? Suddenly this week, the variant they're chasing is a he. In the same sequence as all that first kicks off, we are shown the different Lokis that the TVA has had to deal with at some point or another in a montage. The Ogre Loki, the Frost Giant one, the Tour de France Loki, maybe implying that Loki's Lance Armstrong in one lifetime or something. Who knows?
That'd explain a lot.
But
about Lance Armstrong.
Wait, you lied about having testicular cancer? God of mischief. So no, God of shattered dreams and inspiration.
I don't think he did
Great.
lie about that.
What was it you lied about?
He lied about
something.
doping.
That was it. Oh no, hang on. Didn't he play up his medical issues?
Maybe,
That was part
I don't know.
of the issue as well. Where it was like, have you been playing this up for? What?
No, I don't think he did. No.
God of mischief, either way.
Yeah.
It's God of something. And those two things in that opening sort of 5 minutes, a little voice, a little JMS Kieran Gillen fucking loving Thor Journey into Mystery, like, early 2010s, like to the late 2000s, early 2010s Thor loving kid in my brain. Thank you for that, Matt, by the way. It's still my favourite run of the character.
Yay.
This little voice went, yeah, but like Lady Loki though. Sorry, what? Well, they're putting an awful lot of emphasis on it being a he/him, and they just really established that Loki has and will be different forms and different realities. So why are they covering up what could just be Tom Hiddleston in a cloak? I was like, no. I'm getting ahead of myself. I've got my fanboy head on. I'm thinking about, imagine if they did that thing from the comic. No. And then the episode goes on, and they keep doubling down on the he/him pronouns every time they refer to the variant. I'm like, they're setting us up.
Yeah.
They are setting us up to be shocked. That's what they're doing. Surprise, motherfucker! or considering the fact they're in a rocks cart. Surprise, motherfucker! It's Lady Loki.
Yep.
Or at least appears to be Lady Loki. She doesn't like being called Loki, apparently. So naturally the internet have gone, she doesn't like being called Loki, she's got blonde hair, she must be Enchantress. Characters can look different in the film adaptations, guys. They don't have to look exactly the same as the comic books.
The comics.
Because indeed she sort of has short curly blonde hair, much like Tom Hiddleston does in real life when not playing Loki.
Yeah.
As opposed to like Lady Loki in the comics. Like, because for those who don't know, there's a period where Asgard did die in a Ragnarok. And not one you can just pop back with the TVA and push the Hulk off the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah.
Which I loved was his example for not changing anything. It's like, oh yeah, this Loki not like 2 days ago in his timeline got beaten to shit by the Hulk inside Avengers Tower. Of course his example would involve like, yeah, but what if I just like killed the Hulk? Like, it wouldn't change anything because there's an apocalypse. Like, yeah, maybe read the rest of that file, dude.
Yeah.
Hulk survives that event. Sorry. But the Asgardians eventually return. Thor comes back first, sets up Asgard in Broxton,
Oklahoma. Yeah, because that's why they use Broxton for the movie. It comes from the JMS run. Yeah.
And then he starts finding the Asgardians, who are sort of in some kind of twisted take on the Donald Blake Thor thing. They're sort of locked away in people that it's implied didn't exist before Ragnarok fell, or it was all a failsafe from the get-go. So Ragnarok happens, but like 20, 30, 40, 50 years in the immediate past, all these people were born because they were essentially vessels for the Asgardians to be kept in hibernation.
Yeah.
Thor goes around waking him up and bringing him to Asgard, and the only ones he's been unable to find at first are Loki and Lady Sif. And then he finds Loki, and Loki is female. It's Loki, but like in female form.
I think you find out later that Loki has sort of stolen Sif's body.
Yeah, there's like a template of the bodies waiting, like sort of in the ether.
Yeah,
and the soul is locked in these individuals on Midgard, and but Loki has no body anymore. That was the point, wasn't it? Like Loki was gone, so Loki is resurrected and appears in what would basically be the template of Sif.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, where the hell's Sif? And we learn that Sif is like trapped in a terminal patient.
Yeah,
on a bed in a coma. in a hospital, and you're like, oh, and go read the rest of that run because it's freaking amazing.
Yes.
Big shout out to my boy Bill, born of Bills. So it's just So for a while, Loki was female, and then even after it was resolved, Loki sort of stayed female briefly. And I can't remember what it is, but it's toward the end of JMS's like couple year run and going into Kieran Gillen, Latverian Prometheus. Loki reverts back to a male form.
Yeah.
But like the idea never quite went away. Lady Loki, as the character incarnation has been dubbed, has been a huge fan favorite. Cosplays up the wazoo. Tribute covers for the official books for years have depicted that version of Loki. They played around with Loki changing form again shortly after that because, you know, he seemingly perishes in the siege event and then is eventually resurrected and is now a kid. And it's sort of seen as a cleansing. It's like, right, you have a chance to start again. Like, you have a chance to not be a twat. So get it right, Brian. And Loki, of course, is like, I will! And is kind of a hero and helps out the Young Avengers and all this. And then eventually you realise that the Raven he's hanging out with is like a sort of suspended in time version of what he's meant to be like. Be like, hey kid, fuck shit up.
Yeah.
Fuck shit up. I'm totally going to inhabit your body at some point, but I'm not telling you. And it's, yeah. Loki's been through a lot in the 2000s and 2010s, and I recommend reading all of it, because it's really, really fun. But yeah, so this was cool to see. It's nice to see a sort of an MCU take on it. Like, her costume's sort of similar to kind of how Loki's was in the first Thor movie, like the sort of the subtler greens and the gold plating and all that stuff. But under a big-ass cloak with very kid Loki, like, horns.
Yeah.
It's more like a tiara than a full headpiece.
Yeah.
And yeah. Neat. I like how it isn't played necessarily as a what, but I'm not. It's just like, oh, that's that's part of why they've been failing. They didn't anticipate this.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. What are you up to, motherfucker? To which they're like, look, go away. I have plans, and you realise the reason that she's been possessing and attacking TVA agents is because she's been nicking their tech, like, piece by piece. Specifically, sort of these reality cleansing bombs that they have, and they're I can't remember what they're called now, but like they're sort of Pit Boys, like these giant.
Yeah, they do have a name for him, but I can't remember what it was.
Which can create these little doors to teleport to different places. And Loki's like, look, I'm trying to take over the TVA. I'm going to get to the Timekeepers. Like, it's going to be so much easier if I'm working with another me. So, like, come on. Let's do this. To which Lady Loki's like, yeah, that's really small potatoes.
Yeah. He's not doing that.
He's like, what? No, it isn't. It's like, it really is. So, boy, as she pops out through a time door.
Bye!
As suddenly all of the bombs she's collected are teleported out of this Roxcart knockoff Kmart. And back at the TVA, they see the sacred timeline branching out into, because we early on when Loki's sort of trying to come up with the plan to supposedly stop the one that's meant to be outside the tent.
Yeah,
they're deviating for so long that you see the sacred timeline starts. Do they call it redline?
Redlining, yeah. So
it starts to creep away, and it's like, if he keeps talking, this is going to go to shit. And you realise after Mobius is like, he's lying. You realise that what was going on was Loki was about to divert things even further by betraying them. So the moment he stops doing that, the moment that stopped, it goes, and everything's back to normal. It's like, you little shit, you nearly screwed around, you little shit, we're okay now.
Well, I think it was also stalling.
Yeah. Whereas with this, we get a nice sense at the start of the episode of the threat of things going wrong, and then it ends with all these bombs being sent through time, and suddenly there's like 20 red lines branching off the sacred timeline. You're like, oh, where has she sent these bombs?
Everywhere.
What has she removed? What events have been hit that could have...
Oh, there's totally a list. There's totally places that she sent them.
Oh my god, has someone rounded them up?
I had it up earlier.
This is amazing. Because the episode ends, Loki follows her through a still open door that she goes through, which can't be a coincidence. I think she's giving him
she leaves it open long enough so that he has to follow her out of curiosity. but also long enough that
the team see him leave and
Yeah.
assume he has something to do with it.
So she sends them to locations including Vormir, Sakaar, Ego, Titan, Hala, and Xandar.
Okay. Oh, shit! Okay. That's interesting.
Yes.
Because these things can go forwards or backwards in time as well, like these doors.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, where the hell do you think they've gone to cause that much chaos? I mean, Titan could be somewhere as simple as goes back to when Thanos was born.
I think it's just a neat little Easter egg thing. I don't think we're going to explore too much about what exactly the variant did to cause all these red lines, but I think it's just a neat little.
That being said,
because they're important locations.
That being said, everything in the trailers so far for this series, bar like 2 shots, we've now seen.
That's true.
We've seen there's one more shot of Loki in the Asgardian throne room.
And
like
there's
the OG one from the first Thor, like the gold-plated one.
Yeah.
And there's a shot of him like as candidate Loki with a bunch of sort of like thuggish scrubs around him.
Yeah.
Apart from that,
and we now know that that's our Loki, not the variant, because the variant is Sophie DiMartino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like last week. I'm excited because I don't know where the fuck this is gonna go.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun.
I don't know where it's gonna go, but you can tell it's a 6-episode series as well. It sort of feels like we've just hit the end of Act 1. We're going into Act 2 now. Like, here's your setup. Oh shit! Let's move into the main threat and thrust of the action and the plot now. So yeah, it's give me more.
Give me more, give me more, give me more. Give me more, give me more, give me more. Which is something apparently Catwoman can't say to Batman because
boys and girls of every ag.
Well, not every ag, because we're going to talk about sex, baby.
Let's talk about Batty.
Unlike DC Comics,
that sounded like a completely different thing.
Yes. I love that.
I mean, if Batman's not willing to go front bum, he's definitely not willing to go back bum.
No. Well, we got a email from Chris's chair again, from your chair.
Oh Jesus!
Says, "Good greetings to you and your family." Following allegations / news that DC asked the makers of Harley Quinn to remove a scene where Batman goes down on Catwoman because, quote, heroes don't do that.
Real, by the way, listeners. Absolutely real. And genuine.
And a comment within the Twitter thread that Neil Gaiman had a masturbation line removed from Sandman because, quote, there's no masturbation in the DC universe.
Oh, Jesus.
Do we think that this is why there are so many supervillains in the DC universe? Looking forward to hearing your dulcet tones. Chris's chair.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah, this is some bullshit, isn't it? Like, DC just being
ridiculous.
like, yeah, there's no such thing as sex.
It's weird, isn't it?
Heroes don't do that. Heroes don't go down on their partners, apparently.
Do you know what? I would agree, DC, if we were watching, like, a WB Kids show.
But that's not what Harley Quinn is.
I don't want to think about sex in DC Superhero Girls or Teen Titans Go. Like, I enjoyed the fact that, like, sexual relations was hinted at in the DCAU stuff from the 90s and 2000s because that was very much this is aimed at the whole family.
Yeah, it was a bit more. You could do a bit more on it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, for Christ's sake, Batman the Animated Series, Mad Love, that negligee. Don't you want to rev up your Harley?
Well,
the sex exists in the DC universe, but like,
especially when Bruce Timm draws it.
I wouldn't expect it to exist in, like, the aimed directly at kids stuff like DC Superhero Girls and Teen Titans Go. Like, of course,
no, it's the wrong place.
Not relevant, wrong place for it. Harley Quinn, the adult animated series on HBO Max, that is not aimed at children, that is behind a parental lock, that is full of, like, every swear word under the sun in each episode. That has had sexual stuff in it already.
It's not the place to get fucking precious about things like that.
But especially, there seems to be, and this is obviously DC editorial, like, not necessarily the comic books strictly, but certainly somewhere in Warner Brothers there's an editorial board at DC that have this. It can only be now publicly perceived as this weird, fragile masculinity.
Or
complex.
not necessarily a fragile masculinity, but also got a puritanism to them.
Yes, like it's anything beyond heteronormative sex is creepy to them. They find it creepy or unacceptable. Case in point, a few years back when the writer and artist of Batwoman left the book ahead of their time and then revealed that DC editorial, they were preparing to have the main two characters of their book get married.
Yeah.
It would have been the first really prominent gay wedding in DC comic books. At least sort of the first one of a big named character like Batwoman.
Yeah.
And they were told, yeah, you've got to call that off. Where's that storyline going? Oh, it doesn't end in tragedy. No, you've got to stop it. And they go, why? And the excuse they were given is, superheroes shouldn't be happy. They shouldn't be tied down.
Oh, no.
To which they whip out a giant list of every DC, never mind any other company, every DC character who has been in a relationship, married, had kids. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, what are you talking about? So they get this strong sense that basically DC going, no homo, no homo, no homo.
It's just exactly what it is. Yeah, it's
the
exactly
homo's
what it is.
fine. The homo is fine in the book, but on the cover, no.
No.
Because of course you wouldn't make the wedding summit where the cover was like Batwoman punching Alice in the face or whatever. Like it would be the cover. It would be the event of that story. So that was creepy. And then they get new writers and artists in who are essentially brought in to just do something else with the book, and it's not their fault that the wedding doesn't go ahead. They've basically been told you can't do that.
Yeah.
So, it was this whole complicated situation of, this is awful.
Well, this is bullshit. Yeah.
Flash forward a few years, slash, to the start of DC's Black Label imprint, where they are putting out stories, more mature stories, darker stories, more uncomfortable stories with a grimmer subject matter.
Stories for adults.
Yeah, as either hardcovers or individual oversized issues that are then collected into a hardcover. There is an aged label on the Black Label.
That's the whole point, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a few stories have come around in that time. Nowadays, because the first couple didn't sell the way they wanted, partially due to the controversy I'm about to bring up, they have now sort of retroactively just started releasing other stories and calling them Black Label books. So, like, if you buy The Killing Joke, published within the last couple of years, it's a Black Label.
Is Watchmen
book.
a Black Label book now?
I think Watchmen is. Both of the Azzarello villain books, so Joker and Luthor, are Black Label now. I mean, it's just like, okay, so where's the new stuff? The only new stuff you're getting really is they bought Harley and released it as a Black Label title.
Yeah.
And then they did White Knight has had a couple of sequels, so like that's sort of one of the only Black Label originals that has continued, as opposed to just like being acquired or what have you. One of the first ones was a Batman story where, in a scene essentially sort of that is meant to make you feel the humanity and vulnerability of Bruce Wayne, he's in the cave and he gets undressed in the cave, and it's just like a few panels of him naked. Like, that's not it's not just, here's naked Batman. It's what he's saying, and, the thought boxes and everything. That's what's happening. That's what's important. But they chose to draw him completely nude, because it's this whole thing of, like, shedding that visage, and there is a man underneath this. In the original images, you see his butt, and you see his penis.
But you see like
that's the thing. Yeah, it's not like Dr. Manhattan front cover. Look at my balls. Like he's just naked. He's drawn naked,
and it's not even like it's out there front and center. I think it's like the shadow of his penis or something.
Oh yeah, because it's an adult book. Like you can do that instead of like completely covering his lower half in shadow, like you would in a normal release. Like there's more like that's his dong.
Yeah.
It came out, didn't it? Like, it was the digital and physical release, that first issue, whatever, like, was out there. And then editorial went, wait, no, hang on! And they pulled back. So the digital one was removed from the storefront and then replaced with a different version. The physical copies were withdrawn. Like, it was one of the few times in recent years where they've gone out and they've recalled physical books. And any reprint of it has had him completely in shadow.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone's ever given a definitive statement from editorial, but the vibe that other writers who've worked for DC have given off is like, they're weirdly fragile about stuff like that. And it's like, so what's the issue? Is it you don't like Batman being seen as vulnerable? Is it that you don't like the idea of Batman's penis being... Oh, he's a children's character. Yeah, in this adult book, Black Label.
Yeah.
Like, it's not... Like, you
can't have it. You can't have it both ways. Like, you can't...
Yeah, it's odd. It's odd. So there's this odd vibe they're giving off of, sex isn't important, but sex exists in your comic. Oh, so it's only not important when it's between two characters of the same gender. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, well, that's annoying. And then, Batman can't show his penis. It's like, why? Because it's like, that's a human-looking penis.
Yeah. Would you rather it look like a bat's penis? I don't know.
Batman's penis is like strong and mighty, and it's like, oh, for fuck's sake! Like, just come the hell on.
Yeah.
The latest one is this: Batman does not go down on Harley Quinn.
Catwoman.
Go down on Catwoman in Harley Quinn.
I mean, he wouldn't go down on Harley Quinn. That'd be weird.
But like, he doesn't. Oh, Jesus. So that meant that there was obviously... And I guarantee it would have been a throwaway joke. It would have been
probably
the quickest little gag of all time. Like, it would have been either something between them and him sort of, like, coming up from between her legs and saying something, or it would have been, like, someone peering through windows with binoculars and seeing Cape and her, Cape bent down and her legs either side of his shoulders. It would have been something like that, and that would have been it. And yet they've turned it into this thing. It's like, Batman doesn't do that. Specifically, the quote is, heroes don't do that.
Okay, so heroes don't do what? Heroes don't please their partners. Is that what we're talking about here now?
Heroes don't, take part in consensual, explorative sexual acts with their partners. Like,
no, okay.
No, that's not a thing, is it? Okay, cheers,
cool,
DC.
cool.
Cheers. If that's not what heroes do, then sign me the fuck up to the League of the Legion of Doom.
Yeah, too fucking right. That is why there are so many... Like, everyone's just so fucking tightly wound. Like, this is what really gets me about things like this, where you have a brand which peddles in violence and dark material. Yeah. But as soon as you want to do anything sexual, they're just like, no. And I think it's very symptomatic of America. American culture's very, very Puritan in some weird ways.
Yeah.
Where you can do any amount of violence and language that you want, but as soon as you try and do anything sexual, they just seal it up tight. They do not want to know. And I think part of it is the sort of the sort of Christian foundation of a lot of modern American society, American values, which also leans into the sort of right-wing leanings of a lot of the establishment there, but even in art, like a lot of the artists working, artists, writers, directors, actors, etc., they tend to be quite left-leaning, but the people that are actually got the money, they all tend to be quite right-leaning, and they come from this sort of... I say it's a background built on Christian values. It's a very hypocritical version of Christian values because it's one rule for them, and it's things like how people who have been divorced 5 times with successively younger wives each time were against gay marriage because they didn't want it to affect the institution of marriage, which they clearly have so much respect for.
Marriage,
it's like, fuck you. You divorce wives at the drop of a hat because you want to go for a younger model, so why can't gay people get married, you fucking bigot?
I believe God sent Donald Trump to be president so he could save our country. God.
From
guy
what?
who's apparently massively against people ever having multiple partners at any point in their lifetime.
Yeah.
Would you like to see how many children Donald has to how many different marriages? Would you like to read into how all those marriages ended? And, it's just sort of... Do you want to stop and think for a second? No, because it doesn't service their message at that time. That's why. It doesn't service...
Melania left him yet? I don't care.
If she has, it's on the DL.
Yeah.
Because, like, why would you stick
But
it
then
out?
everything with him is on the DL nowadays because no one gives a fuck. I
Rot
certainly
in
don't.
hell, you bastard.
Yes.
And by rot in hell, I mean jail for the next 7 years of your life.
But yeah, I don't fucking get it. Like, sex is only taboo because we made it taboo. It needs to be normalised. And
yet...
things like this are how you do it.
And yet... And I don't say this to complain about these characters because we've discussed this before. I am a little bit of a pig. I'm a tiny bit of a troglodyte. I'm a fan of pulp to a degree. I can't help it. And yet we have characters like Power Girl, where there are running memes about her boob window.
Yeah.
And the over-sexualization. We have characters like Poison Ivy who use sex and seduction as part of their like villainous power set and motivation.
Yeah.
You know, we have Catwoman who has never not been played up for sex appeal
Yeah.
in adaptations. There's an awful lot of, oh God, look at these fine ladies. Look at these beautiful ladies.
Yeah.
Look at sexy ladies. Well, can we have some... can we imply that Batman also like actually performs, you know, sort of some form of sexual act on his female partner? No.
No, only in Missionary. Making no eye contact.
Looking at a picture of Jesus the whole time.
Stiff as a board.
Thank you, Lord. I guarantee, had the scene been Catwoman giving Batman a blowjob, they would have had no issue with it.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
They would not have cared at all. And this is what I meant before about the fragile masculinity.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, no, totally, I get you there.
It's that odd kind of like, you know, like, oh, he didn't go down on her. Because when it comes, hey, younger listeners, maybe leave the room.
Younger listeners, what are you doing here?
It's sort of, there is this awful stereotype, again, that comes out of that, what was it, how was it you described it? The American sort of...
Puritanism.
Puritanism, that's it.
Yeah.
There is this awful sort of belief system that to pleasure someone else is to be the lesser to them.
Yes.
It is purely a power exchange. It is a dominant submissive relationship that way.
Definitely.
Now, obviously, you know, that's a whole thing within sex, and if people enjoy it, go for it. But like, I'm talking about just the simple act of oral pleasure or even foreplay. Like, there are arguments mostly from
foreplay and oral
heterosexual
sex
dudes
are not like fetishes; they're just part of sex.
But there are people who go like, you know, oh no, you shouldn't have to do foreplay. You shouldn't have to do that. Why? Well, come on, just get into it. It's like,
that's because I don't care about women's pleasure. Just say it. Just say it.
Yeah, there's a reason. There's a reason why there is an archetype of like women having to fake it or never finishing.
Yeah,
because the guy like thingy, and it's like, as in like a comedy archetype rather than just individual case basis or, you know, like specific session or whatever.
Yeah,
it seems to be attached to a very American mentality of like, guy come good, girl come happen sometime, we guess.
Yeah, but not to any of the people who'd like to talk about it. That's for sure.
And that's what's so bizarre. It's like as soon as I heard this, I was like, somebody at editorial thinks that Batman is less masculine or less powerful if he goes down on Catwoman,
which is just bonkers to me. I don't understand it at all.
Because if anything, makes him more of a fucking superhero.
Yeah,
like makes him the hero it's the hero Gotham City deserves and needs.
Look after your fucking partners, for crying out loud.
It's
they
just
have needs.
so bizarre. I can't remember. I retweeted it. I think it might have been either David Gansel or Luke Ski, both online comedians. Someone put one of those two guys put down on Twitter, DC, heroes don't do that. The entire Isle of Themyscira. You fucking what?
Yeah.
Because that's another thing too, is it's like, if this is their issue, then what's their stand on, say, two females doing it to each other? Because I bet you the same person editorial will be like, oh yeah, that's hot.
That's hot. It's going to be hot. Yeah, that's hot.
Interesting.
Let's do that.
Interesting.
Off,
okay, that's interesting.
I hate it.
It's great. Now, the beautiful additional punchline of all this bullshit is that someone who we've criticised many times for being sort of, I don't know, archetypally bro-ish.
Yeah, the toxically masculine again.
Either commissioned or asked permission to use the art of someone. Zack Snyder posted
It's very good. It's
an
very good.
illustration of, like, you know, long Halloween style, you know, sort of like traditional costume kind of revisionist looks of these characters.
Yeah.
Of Catwoman laying on her back, eyes rolling at the back of her head, face near camera, as it were, legs wide open, and Batman going to town.
He's down there. He's down there. It's not
Going
explicit.
to town. It's not explicit, although there are some weird logic traps in it. Where are his arms?
Where are his arms?
Isn't she wearing... She's wearing tights. Is there a hole? Like,
Probably.
What's he doing?
Yeah, it's probably a hole.
Or is he just being a big tease and doing it through the costume?
Oh,
hello. He's still doing it to a degree if he is.
That mask's got a chafe. Like,
it was just...
it can't be comfortable.
Yeah. But it's just like, Zach... Well
slow
played. And the entire comics community as well have chimed in one degree or another, except sort of big wigs at DC. A lot of the big names at DC have stayed out of it, but
yeah, well, they were always gone in, weren't they?
A lot of DC freelancers, a lot of people working at the other companies have all made this. I mean,
the other company,
just Marvel writers, like some DC writers. Gail Simone had a fucking field day.
Oh
with it.
yeah, Gail Simone loves that shit. Anyway, she's one of the more sex positive comic writers out there.
Have you seen her post lately? Like, really, it was after the Shang-Chi trailer came out. She's made it apparent that, like, Domino in one of I can't remember which book of hers, but Domino has a massive thing for Shang-Chi, and there's a story where she, like, stays with him to be taught some moves, and she's clearly the whole time is resisting the urge to be like, can we have sex?
What a feud!
I want to make a sex on you. And but she's like, she's completely losing her cool. There's no sort of seduction or like, thank you for that. She's just like, fucking hell. This week, in in response to all of this like superhero sexual taboo stuff, she's been going in on it because some readers have noticed that Domino has a type, and Shang-Chi's sort of the one exception to her type. Because it's like, so who's Domino been with? Colossus, Warpath, Cable.
Yeah.
Does Domino like the really big, wide guys? And she responded with like, oh yeah, that's absolutely her. That is her fetish. It's her preference. She loves big, fucking tall, wide boys. Like, that is her thing. Shang-Chi is the exception.
Yeah.
He's like the teenage crush that never went away.
He's live.
He's the tiny little live guy that she will absolutely turn into a waterfall for. The rest of them are the giant wide. The rest of them are what I'd like to call a Liefeld cover. Like, that's her type.
They're triangles.
Yeah, yeah. Not necessarily muscular, just wide and tall. Like, that's her thing.
Large boys.
Long man. What a weird thing to get hung up on. So
it's so odd. It's so odd.
Before we close out,
yes.
Which superheroes definitely do?
Wolverine.
Oh God, yeah. Probably much to the chagrin of his partner.
Yeah.
Could you just shave some of it off, please? Please, just shave some of it off, Logan.
Oh, Green Arrow.
Oh Christ! That beard. That beard is structured to tickle an arsehole whilst the mouth is doing its thing.
Him and Black Canary have a very close relationship. She's very satisfied.
Wonder Woman, obviously.
Wonder Woman, every time.
Every damn time.
Every day.
Every day. I think Cyclops has got to be pretty generous.
Well,
like I think he's like, do you know what? Like, I fucking love you. I'm gonna do this as long as you want, even if I'm dying,
and
even if I'm choking.
He has a thing for telepaths, so he doesn't really have a choice. You know.
Wow, I got dark.
Well, it's true. Like, you know, they don't have to say anything, at least.
Deadpool.
Deadpool, yeah. Deadpool's a tender lover.
He's a tender lover.
Yeah.
Which super villains do we think do it?
Oh, Doc Ock.
I don't know. I think he's got too much of that fragile masculinity, Puritan sort of sense about him. I don't think he would.
No, we'd have to ask Aunt May.
Oh, he went there.
He did go there. He
Oh
did
my
go
God.
there. Nearly put a ring on it.
Oh, rereading Superior Spider-Man not long ago, there are a few references in the middle that Octavius as Parker and Anna Maria Marconi have done it at least, had sex at least once.
Yeah.
Which is sort of purposefully left behind as a footnote by the time Peter comes back, because obviously they don't want to go into it too much.
Yeah.
But it's like interesting.
Interesting.
Okay. Ock does fuck, but I don't think he's. I don't think he's a
selfish lover.
I don't think he's chivalrous enough.
Oh, okay, fine. I have a higher opinion of Doc Ock than you do.
Mind you, would you really use your tongue when you've got the tentacles?
Venom.
Jesus. Now I have nightmares. Now I've got nightmares.
Yeah, you have.
Do you think that Mr. Fantastic, with the ability to possibly be the greatest lover of all time for anyone, is actually kind of a bit meek about it and doesn't?
No, because there's no way Sue would stay with him if he wasn't.
True. Yeah, they fall out often enough. It's like there's got to be something. There has to be something that he's doing.
Yeah, it's not just that they love each other, which they do.
Freaky hentai sex.
Yeah, it's that he must be an amazing lover.
Villain-wise, the Joker has never nor will ever do it.
No.
Because the Joker, I think, has maybe gotten his rocks off once in his life and gone, well, that wasn't funny. Never did it again.
That was just weird and messy.
That was strange. That's why he looks so sad in All-Star Batman and Robin. He's like, oh, there's no punchline. Oh, never mind. He zips up his trousers. That was an awful book. It's such an awful book.
No.
I don't think Luther does it. I think Luther's too proud.
Luther definitely does it. Doom does.
Oh, Doom. No, Doom gets his Doom bots to do it.
Oh, okay, yeah, I like that.
But he pretends
that
it's him. He pretends that it's him.
I like that. Yeah, that's good.
Because he doesn't want to take his mask off, does he? So
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
See, I just have a protrusion.
Like that, just comes off like a ventriloquist doll's mouth.
Yeah,
and it just allows his tongue to do its thing.
Fucking hell! You tell us, ladies and gentlemen.
Which superheroes and supervillains?
Yes,
definitely do it.
And how?
It's now. It's wow. And how?
Who's into BDSM?
Sue Storm, apparently.
Who likes anal play? And you can do that. BigDamnContact@gmail.com. Hit us up.
Play. Robin. To the Batcave.
So hit us up, the bum, at BigDamnContact@gmail.com with your questions and superhero, supervillain, sex mashups. You can also watch us twitch.tv/BigDamnStream on Sunday evenings, and if you want to support the show and you've got a couple of shekels to chuck our way, you can do that at patreon.com/BigDamnCast. Until next time, fair listeners, always go down.
Heroes definitely.
Bye.